know if it can get much better.
Isn't that pretty?
That is gorgeous. I need one of these.
Well, you want me to try to turn it so the glare?
Yeah, just forward a little bit from the top. That's it. That gets rid of that glare. Perfect.
She's going to send us files and we can share it.
That is so cool.
In every district, she's got a different picture.
And I'd like to get one just that size.
I
know.
All the
Yeah. So cleverly done. You didn't know better. You would think that the people that came up with this would do it right here. Because they managed to get everything that's important.
Is that not?
Yeah.
Did you see the poster?
I like that.
I mean, this is so pretty. Good morning.
Little Baldwin Avenue thing going on there. Lake, courthouse. Nice house.
Oh.
Bit more used to that. Mini presentation. Just as many as we need.
Okay, so I'm standing at where we plan to present. Can you see? Okay, so in front of me, you can see those. Okay. Can't see the tables. Well, I think that's okay. Does the audience show in this room? It doesn't. So the only thing that our public will be able to see is who's standing here. Okay. I'll make sure with Sabrina that that's okay. She is. I'll make sure that's okay. And then we will make her. Thanks, Kristen. No, thank you. Yeah, I knew that. I saw on my phone that we had gone live. I just wasn't sure that. See this, but nothing else. Is that okay? Okay. If you want them to be able to see us at the tables, then Jason can move the camera.
Okay, that might be good.
Okay.
I know I'm probably be sitting there, but I'll make sure the screens are good.
Roundtable on the camera. We're already live, but, and we need to be able to see Sabrina if that's possible. No, not as a question. Okay, all right, we'll see you in just a minute. Thank you. All right, bye. Is that okay? Can we make that happen?
You gotta plug it in or you gotta turn off the other end.
Oh.
Sit there and wait for them to take the first step. Then you're gone.
And it's good to go. She just talks into that.
This will be your mic cue.
Awesome. That's perfect.
We'll go ahead and get started in a few minutes. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Sabrina Dugan, and I am a managing partner at SwiftGov. Today, we're here to talk about a few different things. So we're going to be talking about the building permit review process. It's good seeing, I see some familiar faces from yesterday, so happy you guys are here. But also, for those of you that are new, we will be discussing the building permit review process for single-family homes, accessory structures, and we'll also be discussing the land development code rewrite. So, we'd love to hear some of your thoughts and feedback as we're working on reshaping Walton County's land development code. And what I'll end up doing right now is I'm going to pass the mic to Commissioner Glidewell for a few words prior to today's session.
Thank you, Sabrina. We're so proud for y'all to be here because we need to know what you think. These sessions are designed to find out what you think. District 2 is the biggest district in Walton County, 443 square miles, and probably the most diverse of all the districts. But yesterday I was up at Glendale School. That building is 120 years old, and we're restoring it, which is a good thing, but it brought to mind that very few things are forever. Very few things last a long time, that being one of the exceptions. But change is coming. Now, we're humans and we hate change. But nevertheless, we're gonna see development. There's no way to stop it because change is inevitable. We're going to change. So what we need to know is what you want for your county. And so we want you to tell us today and at these roundtable meetings your vision, what you want. And then we'll see if there's a way that we can legally put it in place. But we welcome you, we thank you, and I hope you'll talk. And I hope you'll explain to these folks exactly what you do want. And that's the goal and the purpose for this meeting. So thank you, and we're anxious to hear what you got to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And with that, we'll bring up Stephen Schoen, Development Services Director of Walton County.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you all for being here on this early Tuesday morning. It's very much appreciated. This is important work, so just coming out and joining us in these efforts is that first step, right? In this, what's going to be a fairly long process, but a very important one, as Commissioner Glidewell indicated. We're a growing county. We've seen a lot of development, a lot of folks moving here over the last 10 years or so. I'm not sure any of us were prepared for it, but we're going to do our best to manage it in the very best way that we can. And this is, again, some of those first steps that need to be taken. Really don't like standing behind this thing, but do what I can here. This meeting and the one tonight is specific to District 2, and it's important that you understand how we've kind of divined these meetings, right, specific to each district, so we get individualized and specific information about those districts, what you all want to see, what you have seen, your experiences with the planning department, with the county as a whole, good, bad, or indifferent. We want to hear it because that's going to help us grow and move in the right direction. I won't take up too much more of your time. I just again want to thank you and join you in this very important and ongoing efforts, collaborative efforts for us, the board, our SwiftGov partners. We look forward to hearing from you all, and I hope you do. Tell us what you think. So thank you, and I think Deputy Director Kelly Schultz is up next. So thank you again.
Sabrina, is this microphone better or is that one? I hear an echo from here. Are you guys hearing an echo out there? No? Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, I'm Kelly. I see a lot of faces here that I know. I see some that I don't know. I'm just curious. A couple of faces I see, folks are here that are citizens that aren't necessarily involved in the development community. I do see one of our partners from the school district here, and we appreciate your taking time to come out, as well as one of our volunteer fire chiefs from Argyle. We appreciate you for coming. The rest of you who are you here because you're in the development community? If you would raise your hand if you're a developer-related type person. I see one. So I'm assuming the rest of you are just some of our citizens who are here to learn, ask questions.
Citizens, can you raise your hands real quick? Yeah, so we see citizens, homeowners, local residents. Yep, all right.
I think it's great. Well, we appreciate all of you for coming, and again, Stephen, we appreciate you and our SwiftGov partners. So you're going to hear us use a phrase today. A lot of times we'll probably say BPR, which is building permit. It stands for Building Permit Floodplain Review. We just abbreviate it really quickly, BPR. And what that is, whenever you want to do something on your property, you submit an application to the county. In some places in the world, different places that I know that I've worked, you submit to the building department. And behind the scenes, there are different departments that will review your application and provide feedback. And the building department is sort of your intake department. In Walton County, we have a two-step process. And that stands true whether you're building a new house, if you're putting a shed on your property. The first thing you do is you go to the planning department. And our review focuses on improvements to the land. What I mean by that is we look at setbacks, wetlands, floodplain. And we look at to see if there are any special circumstances on your property that you would not necessarily fall under the standard requirements in the code. And once you get approval for the BPR, then you move to the building department to apply for the actual building permit, which is your construction permit. So what we're talking about today, I'm repeating something Sabrina says, is we're focused on that BPR process, the planning department's review but before you go to the building department for that permit. So I hope that adds a little bit of clarity. And also, Sabrina, I don't know if you're going to cover this later, SwiftGov is an AI partner. They're helping us improve our processes. They're in a lot of ways helping us speed up our reviews using state-of-the-art technology. We appreciate our county commissioners for giving us the opportunity to utilize this state-of-the-art technology. It's something that in my 30 years of planning is new to me. So I'm excited. I was really skeptical in the beginning, and Sabrina and her team have made me a believer. I'm just floored at what I've seen. And by the way, if y'all haven't seen the poster for our district that SwiftGov provided for the commissioner and his folks, take a look at it before you leave. It's worth it. It's gorgeous. We have another software that we use for our application process. I don't want this SwiftGov to get confused with InterGov. I know a lot of govs. SwiftGov is a behind-the-scenes process to help our citizens, to help us help our citizens, whereas InterGov is the application portal. So I know yesterday a lot of folks were wanting to discuss the InterGov portal, and we can, but I just want everybody to know we're talking about SwiftGov and improving our processes, making us better for you guys. The main part of what I want to talk about is going through the forms that are required for single-family development. Okay, so if you want to build a house, or if you want to put in an accessory dwelling unit, we call them ADUs for short, what we say vertical construction, even a shed on your property, these are the forms that we're gonna need from you. And I was telling some folks yesterday that when I was a senior planner and I was taking walk-in customers, one of the common themes that I would hear is folks were frustrated because they didn't have a one-stop shop to find these forms and the process. And I can't wait for us to roll it out. SwiftGov has helped us develop a process. It has a link to all of these forms. It has basically code references for everything that Donnice and her staff review for. So it's not just an employee saying, I think I want to ask for, fill in the blank. There's a code reference to back up everything that they're looking for. This process with the documents, I call it a one-stop shop, for lack of a better way of saying it. It's going to be published to our website. And the only reason we haven't released it yet is we're still perfecting it on our end, because we're learning and becoming better through these workshops, through hearing from you all. So we do appreciate you for coming for those reasons.
And with that, what we'll do real quick before going through the forms and applications, we'll show you guys a brief survey. We'd love to get some participation. Yesterday over at District 1, we did get quite a bit of participation, so I know this group is going to be just as eager to do the survey. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen, so you will see a brief pause for a screen share, but I'm going to jump over to that survey real quick. And for those of you online, you can definitely participate within the survey as well. All you have to do is scan the QR code, and then you guys can get started with it. So, and does this mic have an echo? No? Okay, I heard what you were hearing. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first question. So if you have your phones, if you could scan the QR code, that would be appreciated. This is an interactive survey. The fun thing of this is we get to see each other's answers. So we do ask that, we stay polite and, professional. We are all people. Yes, we will be asking some open-ended questions as well. This is just something to get as much feedback as possible from the community, so that way we can work on standardizing these processes with Walton County. And SwiftGov is very proud to be partnered with Walton County. You guys have a beautiful and unique community. So it's been a lot of fun to work with your staff because they're ready to make change, positive change, standardizing their operating procedures internally so they can better serve people. And that's huge. So the first question, do you know your current zoning district? It should be on the screen. Oh, well, that's a great question. The QR code will appear on the screen shortly. We appreciate the communications from the audience.
I'll call Jason very quickly.
Not a problem. And with that, what we'll do is we can go ahead and get started with discussing the application process. So in the meantime, and how long has the TV been disconnected? Anybody? Okay, let's try this actually. All right. Well, so this TV screen has it. Let's go ahead and scan that QR code. Now we can. There we go. And this is what we call teamwork makes the dream work. Who's with us this morning? It's a good morning in Walton County. So, all right. Do you know your current zoning district? If you do, awesome. If not, not a problem at all. All right, we see one person has participated so far. That's awesome. 1 out of 2 people who have scanned it. Okay, not a problem. That's perfect. Love that. So if yes, feel free to raise your hand. If no, we can raise our hand for no as well. Maybe do 2 hands for no. All right. I have an idea, but I am not sure. I have more than one property and am not sure about all of them. That's fair. That's another one. All right. So far we have 2 participants. Anybody? Yes, ma'am? So you can continue participating along the way. Some of the questions are optional. Do you believe your current zoning district is accurate for your property area? Seems like 50% yes and 50% no. Yesterday we had a lot more no's in this category than yeses. All right. Have you ever had to look up or use Walton County's land development code? If you have not, that's completely fine. We will be discussing it briefly. Seems like so far we have 4 to 6 times. We have another participant in the survey. We're excited about all the participants in this room. We know it's an early Tuesday for everyone. All right, we'll stay on this question a little bit longer. All right, on to the next one. So, how user-friendly is the current land development code? Very user-friendly, somewhat user-friendly. I have not used it, neutral. All right. I know we have some voices, and actually I can have the participation populate on my phone as well. So what we could do is, for those of you that would like your comments tracked within the survey, how user-friendly is the current land development code? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to give some thoughts or feedback? You can say it's also not user-friendly. All right, we've had some responses that say have not used it. When using the land development code, what is the hardest part? Finding the section I need, understanding the language, knowing which rules apply to my property, understanding zoning and future land use together, understanding environmental or floodplain regulations. Right now, most of them are 17% of participants have voted for those items. The only one that's 33% is knowing which rules apply to my property. Do you have specific issues, concerns, or conflicts with the current land development code? Has anyone in the audience had any experiences with conflicts that would like to say a word or two on conflicts within the land development code? Yes, sir. Front and center.
You can set me up with that, right?
Yeah, not a problem. Do you want to spin it around and we'll...
I don't think I can hold it.
Okay, sounds good. Do you want me to hold it for you?
Back up just a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Wherever you're comfy. Alrighty. Oh. Yeah, wow. Okay. I can hold the
I'm
paper
probably here
and
for just a whole different reason, but I'm here for the same idea. It's all gonna work around that way. I just like to do it.
yes, sir. No, you're all good. You're rocking and rolling. There you go.
All this won't be any good if I tell you who I am and something I've never told before in public and never will.
Okay.
Again, I hope, but
Would you like
I have with my pastor in a small Sunday school class. My name's Mike Spence. I live at Rock Hill. I'm a Vietnam era disabled veteran, twice decorated, 3 times exposed to toxic chemicals. One of them's real popular on TV, but also was exposed to radiation because of the first ECM pods during that time. After that was over with, in '75, whenever Saigon fell, I had enough rank. I said I'd just stay in, so I stayed in, and this is what makes this important. In '79, I was setting Victor alert, nuclear alert, in Incirlik, Turkey, which is, if you know your geography, is common border with Iran, which is kind of appropriate now. And the Shah died. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini comes along, Turkey, being common border, goes under martial law. I don't know if you've ever been in martial law, but it ain't a lot of fun. But anyway, I'm being the kind of fella that's always in the wrong place at the right time. I was standing in a Donna behind a guy that must have been 300 pounds. And I was thinking to myself, what's a guy that big doing in a land of Lilliputians? And I was sitting there watching him, and between him, there was a counter, a wall, and I didn't even know there was a bank behind that wall. And they blew it up. When I got him off of me, only word I remember was a bomba. But we used to kill hogs when I was a kid, and I know some of you guys have been in war, and some of you guys have seen a lot of bad things. It wasn't pretty around there. I ran. And when I got to the street, all that bank was out in the street, and here come the guys with the guns, and it was awful. After that, my life kind of went to a, I don't know, it was like a, it went quick. Ruber Clinic, Madrid, Landesstuhl, Wiesbaden, Ramstein, Germany, boom, to Keystone Air Force Base, 2.5 months in the hospital. And then the guy comes and says, you've had enough, out. So as I go out, he says this, it was Colonel, he said, you have a place to go? I said, yeah. I said, I'm gonna go back where I was born and raised. I said, it's quiet. There's nothing there. I got the homestead deed on the wall, and he said, well, go and try to keep it where you don't get under any strain or any stress. I said, okay. So I go, and I do what I do. But when I get home, land development started. My daddy says, look down there in the corner. I said, what is that? He says, me and your Uncle Gordon, that was his brother, went down there the other day and asked him what was going on. And he said, old man J.P. Shaw was pouring concrete. And I said, J.P., what's going on here? Don't know, Floyd. And he said, the county commissioner's down there digging the well. Go ask him. He went to the county commissioner. They said, Billy, what's going on? Oh, ain't nothing to it, Floyd. They're going to shoot a few bullets. That's it. So Daddy goes back home. Boom. That's what this is about. Ninth, I remember every one of these people, most of them are dead. Only 2 living now that I know of are Bill Green and I think Billy McLean's alive, ain't he? Now, this is the way Walton County was developed. Now, here's the rules. I've got a house that's blown all to pieces. Explosions that you would not believe. Concussions that you can see. There was 2 the other day that was so loud it nearly blew me over, and it scared her so bad she's got heart trouble. She had a heart attack, okay? Cracks, pictures falling off the walls. I had a world-class clock collection, tore all to pieces, and that goes on at my house, okay? I was born in the bombing range, lived in the bombing range. I reckon I'm going to die in one. But here is how it got in, and here's the rules. And the rules have never been changed. And if they have, let me know. All I want to be done is left alone. I don't care about the damage. I don't care about anything. I want to be left alone, and I want the rules to be kept. If there are rules, they ought to be kept. This was put in by the Walton County Commission on the 9th month of 1980. Thank you. I can't see anything but that. Now I can see. Before a permit shall be issued, the applicant shall submit to the Board of County Commissioners his application for the permit. Should the application evidence any intent to test explosives, the application shall also be accompanied by a certified copy of the applicant's license to operate in the state of Florida, as secured from the Division of the State Fire Marshal, and on and on and on. Section 4, the applicant must demonstrate that there is no danger from noise disturbance or danger to the health, safety, and welfare of other persons or property. Violations of the provisions of this ordinance. Violations of the provisions of this ordinance shall constitute a misdemeanor and shall be punished by a fine not to exceed the sum of $500 each day of the operation exists. Well, that's pretty straightforward. You know, don't bother your neighbor and go and do what you want to do until this happens. This is the August 11th, 1981. Mr. Alan Ramey, guess who drowned in the lake today, represented Orlando Technology, General Dynamics Rock Hill Test Range. What a bombing range is doing in the middle of a residential community, I'll never understand. Appeared before the board to request a 5-year permit that the projectile be increased to 50 millimeters to 155 millimeters. I used to shoot 20 millimeter cannon. It makes a lot of noise. Anyhow, motion by command. Here we go. Let me back up. Mr. Cy Crean, first job I ever had, I worked for Cy Crean, Crean's Appliance Exchange, 14 years old, cleaning stoves. Advised that board that he is against any increase in the size of weapons to be tested. Mr. Crean stated that he feels the testing has devalued his property due to the loud blasts and vibrations. Commissioner Miles made a motion to delay until 11:15. Motion died on the floor. Mr. Gandy, this would be Mr. Holden Gandy. I remember him very well. He drew a check to the day he died from General Dynamics OTI Test Range as their security guard. I live there. I know what happens. He went every Saturday, checked the gate, went back home, draw the check the day he died. Okay? Advised the board that he lives near Orlando Tech site and supports the testing. He lived all the way up on Sherwood Road at the very end. He couldn't have heard it if it fell in it. Commissioner McLean, guy that was digging the well, advised he inspected the site and everything's in good shape. Okay, well, everything's in good shape, but here's what happens. Mr. Charles Rivard, another guy that's dead, but I remember very well, owned 500 acres next to ours, where Mr. Bennett ended up living on. Mr. Charles Rivard appeared before the board, advised that the testing Orlando Tech has been conducting caused noise and has vibrated the houses near the area. After discussion, Commissioner McLean made a motion, the second by Commissioner Owens, to grant Orlando Tech a permit for 5 years, decreasing the explosive weight to no greater than 25 pounds of TNT, trinitro-toluene. How can I explain it? It's the equivalent, they always use it the equivalent of this much TNT, okay? They blew up a Coptic church in Egypt in 2016 using about that much TNT. It displaced 4 pews, not a crack in the wall. It's pretty big, but not that big. Now, don't let me turn. Okay, no greater than 25 pounds of TNT in weight. Operations when wind conditions would create noise levels posing a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens in the area will be prohibited. A's 5, no. North wind, you gonna blow me away. Same way with all these others. Let me get this last one here. This should have been page 1. 89. The same one. Okay, so it boils down to this. According to the county law that's been laid down by the county commissioners, it was slipped in. Now, you show me how it got there, all right? Now, I got something that's blowing my house completely down. All my neighbors around, my son has a 2-year-old house, and well, let me try to make this fast. I went to the law. The law says, leave me alone. right when I happened to be talking to him, kaboom. He said, what was that? He said, that's Eglin, wasn't it? I said, no, that ain't Eglin. I'm sitting on top of that. That's my house. That's Rock Hill Test Range. Oh, well, then maybe I'll send you through to what do you call that board down there? Code. So I go to code, and we got all three of the big wigs of the code. They come to the house. They say, we got a case up. Let's get a case up. So they take pictures of all the blowed up stuff. They do all the things they do, and they make a case, and they take it to the county attorney. Okay? County attorney looks at it. The case is all made up. They got it all together. They come back to me and say, he says, go in a circle. He says, go to the county commission. So now, I never give Mr. Glidewell a little chance to get onto this, but now I'm with him. Go to the county commission. Well, here I am. What I want to be left alone. That's all. Just leave me alone and keep the rules. So if you blow me out of my house, if you ruin all my property, and all you got to do is come and look, they took pictures of it. It's right there to be seen. It's blowed all to pieces. In that new house my son lives in, that's all he does. He pours concrete and makes a living pouring concrete. He built his house in such a way he thought it couldn't be blowed down. Cracked the wrong way all the way across, and the whole back end off. Now, what I want is Mr. Glidewell, if you can, get that before the county commissioners or whatever it takes. But I mean to live the rest of what little life I got left in peace. I'm going to one way or the other get it done. I might die trying, but I'm going to try to get it done. Then, one more thing, and I'm going to get out of your hair. Mr. Glidewell was there. He's the one that voted against it. They wanted to put in a shooting range next to my house. I told them, I said, look, it's like an amphitheater. I was a kid here. They're right there. You come across this old bay, and it's right here at my house. Nobody listens. Nobody cares. They got the money. They throw the money down. It's what it's all about. It comes down to it. Mr. Glidewell says, we got all this infrastructure down here, all these people moving in, and we put all this money into this place. You put this gun range down here, you're going to mess the whole thing up, and all the people are against it. Well, it looks like maybe it's not going to be put in. Well, it got put in, okay? I have no problem with that. If you shooting during the day, I don't care if you shoot 5,000 times during the day. And the rules were, Mr. Glidewell was there, silencers, stop at sundown, and the county ordinance says no explosives. They're blowing just as loud on Saturday night at 10:30 as they are down at OTI, General Dynamics Test Range. So that's the way it works in Walton County for all the rules and regulations. Now, I want satisfaction, and I want satisfaction one way or the other. Either Walton County can keep these rules, and if you want a copy of this, I'll give it to you. And I got a whole sack full back there, and I got 900 pages of what that commission meeting on that other place. It's got to be looked at yet to get all the small stuff out. I want the rules kept. If the rules ain't kept, I just don't. I have to go as far as it takes to try to get them kept. Now, is that good enough? By the way, if tenure has anything to do with it, or being there has had anything to do with it, my people came there before they came there in 1837. My grandpa was born there in 1850. My great-grandpa was born there in 1850. My grandpa, which I remember very well, was born there in 1881. I sleep in the bed he died on, the bed my mama was born in, and probably the one I'm going to die in, okay? So I got tenure there. And then on the other side of the family, my dad lived in Eglin Reservation when it wasn't Eglin Reservation. He was in the Battle of Casino in the Italian campaign, and the eminent domained him and took 160 acres and 3 dwelling houses and throwed him and his brothers out. And that's why Edgewood Circle's where it's at, because the Spencers come across the road and build all up and down through there because they were eminent domain and thrown out of their house. I would say this, It's a direct result of that my grandfather died because he pined away over what he had been stole from him. And I'd say it's a General Dynamics Rock Hill test range that my father is dead earlier than he should be because my sister would not come back and live next to that and all that noise. And she stayed in Pensacola. She wouldn't come back and take her inheritance and build a house and take care of him in his old age. And she moved him out of them woods over there to Pensacola. He died within a year and my mama within 2. I want some satisfaction about being left alone. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone.
Well, thank you, Mike, for shedding some little history on Walton County, and it sounds like lifelong residents, and thanks to Commissioner Glidewell for hosting this event and really making sure that we do hear the community and hear different voices and perspectives on how they've seen things change over the years. I think that's really important that we do start to learn about others' experiences in the county and how we can keep shaping it appropriately together. So thank you again for your comment. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and jump into the presentation. And again, throughout the session, we will be doing brief questions and answers throughout the session as well. So if there are people in the audience that have some comments that you'd like to add in, that's not a problem. The goal for today's session is to really get as much feedback as possible. And we will focus on the building permit review process and the land development code rewrite. History is applicable to the land development code rewrite because in order to do better from what we've done in the past, we have to hear different thoughts from different people. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen, and I'll pass the mic back to Kelly, Deputy Development Services Director.
Thanks, Sabrina. So I was just going to quickly go through the different application, the forms that are associated with our applications. I'll try to make this pretty brief. The first form is the application itself. And you basically just check what your project is. Like, I want to build a single-family house. I'm putting in an accessory dwelling unit. And then provide some very basic information that helps us identify your property. And then there's the compliance affidavit, which is a notarized document that basically says everything I've told you is the truth to the best of my knowledge. We have a master stormwater letter of compliance, and a lot of the properties in the north end, this is not applicable to, because a lot of our properties are, farmlands, or they're not part of a subdivision in Walton County that has a master stormwater plan for the subdivision. We are seeing more communities with master stormwater plans, but for the most part, this is more of a South Central and South Walton County requirement. And basically you get an engineer that comes in and says, okay, this is what the development order says you can have as far as impervious surface, this is what you're providing, and if you need some additional stormwater features like a swale or a pond or something, then that is engineered and made part of your BPR application. I talked a little bit about accessory dwelling units. We have, if you have an accessory dwelling unit or you're wanting to build one, we do provide you with an affidavit for that ADU that is notarized, that basically just lets you know that your ADU can't be greater than 800 square feet. That is if your house is large enough to allow 800 square feet of heated and cooled space. If your house is smaller, then you can build up to 75% of the square footage of your home for your accessory dwelling unit. And a lot of people say, well, can I have an ADU on my property? Unless you have some sort of environmental issue, or maybe you build a great big house on a tiny little lot and you don't have room to build an ADU, all of our properties in Walton County do allow accessory dwelling units. And I don't know if any of you have ever gone through this process, but prior to, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months ago, the rule was that you can't rent those out as short-term vacation rentals. I know you all in the north end don't see that as much as we do as you head south. I feel like it'll eventually come because we are close enough to the beach to make people want to stay here. But if you do have an ADU, now you can rent that out as a short-term vacation rental because the Board of County Commissioners changed the rules. We have an ag limited review application, and what that does, if you are designated as ag through the property appraiser, again, they have their own process for designating your land as ag. It's not just because it's zoned ag. It has to be designated as ag through the property appraiser, and you complete this application, then we can waive your application fee and your land clearing fee, which comes up to a total of $125. Now, if in the ag building you want to have power, then we still charge a $25 temporary power pole application fee. And I believe the building department is the same. I think they waive their application fees, but not the temporary pole fee, if you do have this ag designation and you complete this notarized affidavit. Okay, so a lot of folks own more than one lot. If your property is considered a lot of record and you want to build over the property line, set your house right smack dab in the middle of your property, and the common property line between those two is in the middle of it, so technically you're not meeting setbacks for the two lots, you can do that as long as you complete what we call combining two or more parcels of land owner affidavit. And this document does get recorded with the clerk of court. And basically what you're saying in this notarized document is that you understand that, okay, so I've got two pieces of property. I want to treat them like one. So they stay together as one unless you move or remove whatever causes that one of those properties not to meet setbacks or whatever other condition there is on the land that is no longer in compliance because you chose to treat them as one. So it's pretty easy if you have a shed and you want to combine it because your house, maybe your house meets the setback, but you want the shed kind of, within the setbacks. It's easy to move a shed. If you plop your house down in the middle, might not be so easy. But that's what that affidavit is for. If you don't have two lots that you need to combine through this process, then you don't have to worry about this form. Some of these forms, you guys, I live up here, we're blessed, we don't have to deal with a lot of the things that the people in the South End have to deal with. One of those things is wildlife lighting. So I don't know if we have anybody here. I know some folks from the South End were planning on coming up here, so I'll just quickly go over it. If you are in a zone that is considered a wildlife conservation zone, then you do complete a document that is an affidavit that basically says you understand about turtle lighting and and you're going to comply with it. And we do this in conjunction with our Fish and Wildlife partners, just to protect those little turtles and make sure that they'll come lay eggs on our beaches and all is right with the world. Another document that you guys don't have to deal with up here is it's a flood zone document. It's for like Victor, velocity zones. If you're not in a velocity zone, then you don't have to worry about this particular certification. And we don't have those up here, so if anybody is here from the South End and has questions, holler at me. And then another document that we have, so if you have a big piece of property that is, and a lot of folks do, you don't want to build a foot above the grade of the road, then you can get a waiver from our requirement to build a foot above the grade of the road. There is a form associated with that. This is for non-flood zone properties. And it's basically, like I said, a waiver. It's white sands, again, we don't have that up here, but we do try to protect the beaches by sending samples of sand off to a lab before they're brought, even transported down to our beaches. If you're in a white sand zone, that applies to you. If you're not, then it doesn't. Also down at the beach, we have these little creatures called beach mice. They're an important part of the habitat of the beaches. If you are in a beach mouse zone, either a tier 1 or tier 2, there's another form that you get to fill out. If you're not, then you don't have to worry about it. Something that is relatively new is a driveway permit, and there's a form that Public Works has provided to us, and they asked Donise and her crew to get this document approved on intake. This does apply to everybody, so if you're building a new house, they want you to have a driveway permit form completed, and understand this is for private and public streets, and it's approved by Public Works. We had some good feedback yesterday, and we're going to be having some conversations with Buddy over at Public Works to see if we can't work through some of the concerns that some of our citizens had. But again, this is just something that's part of the process. The very last document, you guys don't have to worry about up here. If you are in South Walton, they have a very active mosquito control district. I mean, our north end is active too, but in the south end, they have the mosquito control districts. So they have standards that apply to properties that are adjacent to a mosquito control ditch. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Let's give her the mic. So I tell you, and I feel petty by asking you to speak into the mic, but a lot of folks do like to watch these. And we had 2 sessions yesterday, and I went back just quickly over a couple of them. I didn't watch the whole thing, but when our citizens were talking, their voices aren't heard because they didn't take the mic, and we want you to be heard. So if you would.
I'm pretty loud.
You know
trying to
what's
get my
funny
steps in.
is I get that, so am I, but it won't
Yes,
record.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, so I clearly live in the North End. And so since a lot of these forms are not applicable to us,
Yes, ma'am.
why do we have to have them?
You don't have to do them if they're not applicable to you.
So, because we get a packet when you register. And clearly I am old, and so I like humans to talk to. And the whole process of getting even to a human has been horrendous at times. Just to get to a person to actually answer questions, because a portal is only good sometimes. I'm sorry.
No, we understand. You're right. It is.
I mean, anyway. So just for example, this driveway thing. Our house is in the middle of acres, and I got to get permission from you all to put a driveway in?
I'm going to let Donise answer that, if that's okay.
Sure.
But
Because this is the first I've heard of this.
Right.
Not that I'm going to put a driveway in, because I'm not going to spend that much money to do it. But
Right.
I just find that another encroachment of what I deem as this is my property, and if I want a driveway, I ought to be able to put a driveway in. So tell me some rationale for why that is even necessary. Maybe because up here in the North End, it's really not a big deal. And, you know, this is stuff for those poor people that live down there. Not poor as in money poor, but just because they live down there and all that. But I just find that interesting that a driveway now has to have a permit. Well, I'm just talking about this form thing that's right here. Oh, that was to even begin a process with planning. You had to go through a portal, and I had to have a human. Fortunately, I know some folks, and I said, how in the world do you navigate this thing? So anyway, I'm sure that process is being reviewed and updated, or I don't know. I just like people to answer a phone.
We do offer, we have a portal assistant. And you call in, and Paula is her name. And you will call in, and Paula sets appointment times. And she will go through all your documents and help you do the upload. So we do offer for those people who do not have portal knowledge or just don't want to do it, Paula is available. We have someone on staff that is available to assist with that portal experience. We understand it can be troublesome. Paula, it would just find the phone number for the Planning and Development Services, the 267-1955, yes, and reach out to us. and they will put you in touch with Paula. She's very prompt in calling back and schedules appointments
Okay.
all day, every day.
And so then you go and actually see Paula?
You sit with her in her office.
Okay,
And she
well,
will take
that's-
your documents and scan them. And then tell you what you need or you don't need relevant to what type of permit.
Mm-hmm.
And then she helps you with the fees, invoice the fees and payments.
Okay, so let's get back to the driveway thing.
So the driveway permit, this is working with Public Works. Public Works, every time there is a cut made to the right-of-way, that has to be accounted for. We have driveway separation requirements of 50 feet or more, so we have to make sure that someone's not coming in and putting a driveway on top of another. That may be a highly used driveway. You may have larger trucks coming in and out. Public Works is maintaining the right-of-way, whether it's going to cause a stormwater issue, that they go in and build a driveway and there's no culvert or no drainage allowed to go through that driveway. So they want to make sure that there are no issues with that. So they have asked for that driveway permit form. That channels, when you submit for the building permit, it will channel through to Public Works, and then they will respond back, need a culvert, don't need it because it's a private road, and then send your approval back, and you keep going.
Okay, so has the process for planning itself in general, has it, or is it being looked at for time? You know, example, years. Years have happened in various situations. Years. It should never take years for something to get to the building department. Never. I don't care who you are or what you got to do, it should never take years. But I know personally that it has. And it's part of it is just because you are trying to navigate all of these flippin' forms, and it's the engineer for this, and you can't just get to any engineer. You got to have a special one, and it's this and it's that, and bless their hearts, they're all tagged to death, you know, and they're running here and there, and you know, I guess because it's just the north end, it is a tremendously burdensome process. And quite frankly, nobody wants to go to the planning department.
We're trying to change that.
I
We're working on our
certainly hope you
processes.
can.
That's why we're going through these roundtable discussions to get the community feedback so that we can appropriately change our processes and handle situations. There are some that do run longer.
Sure.
There may be some issues, there may be some resubmittals, some corrections or clarifications that have to be made, or they may get in the middle of they have to go back if they're doing a lot split or something that takes extra time to process that before they can finish. So we're looking at all of those issues, and that's why we're asking for concerns.
Okay, so driveway is a different thing then. That is really in the building department area.
The form is provided when we issue
When
a
y'all get it.
BPR. It is given to the applicant. Then that form is submitted straight to the building department. Used to be just a culvert form, but they asked for the driveway permit packet. And then that is processed through to Public Works. They will sign off on it and send it back. They may make a site visit. They may,
Sure.
you know, come out and look at, yeah, we need a culvert this size to handle the water flow.
Okay, all right, I'm going to hush.
Thank you for that. And, you know, and I think too, it's part of, sometimes we require something that's even not applicable just for accountability so that we don't miss it. Because how many times do we hear, oh, well, I went to planning and then I thought I had everything and then they turned around and wanted one more document. So if we ask for it all up front, even if it's not applicable, then we're human too. We make mistakes. So there's a less chance of us missing something up front. So if you did need to be working on it in your background while we're working on other things in ours, then hopefully we come together at a good, a better time frame than just say, oh, we need this, or now we need this, now we need this. And so, and again, we don't see as many issues with the driveways up in the north end as we do even in South Central or North Central, because you're not as densely populated. It may come to the point where we see more of this, but right now, especially like with you, on a big piece of property out in the middle of nowhere, it's not going to be a problem. But if we do have the documentation, then it just helps us with our process. I said this yesterday, Stephen's going to get sick of hearing me say it. One of the things I appreciate about Stephen as our planning director is he's very consistent. He's helping us make sure that our processes are in order, that we're all doing the same thing. We're trying really hard. I mean, we're all people, so we do things a little differently. We think a little differently. But if we have checklists, we have processes, we follow the code instead of looking every situation differently, then we're going to be better public servants, right? We're going to provide a better service to you guys. And that's what we're trying to do. And the timing, taking too long on the BPRs, that's why your county commissioners have allowed us to partner with SwiftGov over the next 3 years to help facilitate that process. Now, in the north end, we see a lot of hand-drawn site plans. That's not ideal for SwiftGov. It's hard for AI to read that. But if we have others in the south end that are going through SwiftGov, then our human reviewers have more time, ideally, to review the ones that are hand-drawn. So we're definitely trying to get better, and we do empathize, apologize for the long waits that you guys have. There's been a lot of changes. We've had a lot of turnover. We had to switch application portals from to InterGov. Just a lot of moving parts. Stephen's relatively new, and I don't know. Have y'all met our new assistant or deputy administrator? I'm not sure your title, Mike Thornton. We're pleased to have him with us today. Deputy today. Okay. And so again, a lot of moving parts. And I know y'all saw we had a little bit delay get started. Jason Cook and his staff, thank y'all for helping us get set up here. And we appreciate our PIO, Mr. Ron Kelly, for coming and helping get the work, up until today and even today, getting some pictures, helping the public understand what's going on. So,
on that note, it is important to get your guys' thoughts and feedback, and this was actually something that was brought to attention by Board of County Commission. Commissioner Glidewell said it multiple times on BOCC. It's really important to have transparency with the public. There's a lot of back and forth, and in order to reduce it, we got to show standardized operating procedures, because if the county doesn't have that in place, how can we support people? So that's another big part of our partnership is standardized operating procedures. So regardless of going to this person or to that person, everybody's responding the same way. And that's something we've worked on internally to have a more human-centric approach, because obviously there are going to be times where we can use computers or AI to get appropriate stats to see, hey, how can we do better as a department to better serve people? But the human element is huge and key, and I'd say essential to Walton County's operations. So especially with Stephen Schoen's direction that he's taken with the department, he is a guy, and he's really following his leadership's direction and what administration has told him to do, which is things need a change in planning. Stephen has been in this role for less than 18 months-ish, and obviously when getting dealt a hand, you gotta, especially if somebody was here previously for years and running things for years, change is different, especially for staff, but by putting these policies and procedures in place, and on the upcoming board meeting of the 26th, we're excited to show you guys a bit more what those procedures are. Might be a little boring, a little too detailed, but at least we're all on the same page and everybody knows what's going on. So that's something we're really excited to do together, and I'll pass it back to Kelly. Any last thoughts?
No, unless anybody had any other questions for me. I don't think I put any out yet. I will be putting my cards on the little table here. It looks like Stephen and Donnie's have already done a better job than I have by getting them out there. Please take our cards, as you're driving home or in the middle of the night or tomorrow, whenever, if you think of something like, hey, I really wish I would have told them, whatever that might be, reach out to us. I mean, it may take us a few days to get back to you, but we really do want to, not only make this process better with the Land Development Code rewrite through SwiftGov, we really do want to help be better for you guys. So thank you very much.
Yes, and with that, we're going to go ahead and switch to a survey, another QR code, because you guys like them so much. You guys get super excited with the QR codes, so we don't want to let you down. So we'll go ahead and jump to our middle of the session survey, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All we'll ask you to do is, if you can scan that QR code, it sounds like a few of you were pretty speedy earlier, so if you're going full throttle ahead, feel free to keep going with the survey. You don't have to do it at the same time as me, but for those of you that would like me to walk you through it, because there are some people that appreciate it, we will walk you through it as well. So, what is your primary relationship to land use and development in Walton County? We would love to get to know you a bit more. I know we have a lot of people here in this room today that are longtime residents, and we want to continue to learn from you. In order to learn from you, to better shape our code, we would appreciate the participation. Just use your phone to scan that QR code with your camera. And for those of you online that are participating, feel free to follow along. So, how long have you lived, worked, or owned property in Walton County? We have some Walton County for lifers. We love that. Yep. I see you guys raising the hands. Yep, we'll count you guys in. Okay, so we have 2 more for more than 15 years. And I know my awesome colleagues are keeping track of the additional votes that we have in the audience. So we'll move on to the next question as well. What is one thing you hope to learn from today's session? Update. Yep, that's fair. Let's talk about updates in the planning department. We're going to continue to talk about updates along the way. This is more of a session to get to know you guys and your goals for Walton County and how we can make appropriate changes to land development code. So that's why we have to get to know the history first. And then we'll be doing additional sessions once we come up with language to make the code changes. So that way we can get your guys' thoughts and feedback to make sure it's in line with what we've learned from you today. What commission district do you live in, work in, own property in, or mostly closely identify with? Right now we are in District 2 today. Yep, woohoo, District 2. Shout out to Commissioner Glidewell again and Teresa Lowry for hosting a great event at such a beautiful courthouse. So, no better place to be on a Tuesday morning. All right, on to the next question. Look, we're getting more participants. You eager folks, that's great. And we're still counting the 2 votes in the front, so. All right. How familiar are you with Walton County's Land Development Code, Code of Ordinances, or Muni Code? It's okay if you're not familiar at all. Yesterday's group, we were not familiar at all, not at all. And then we also have very familiar and somewhat familiar. Love that we have a very familiar expert in here. We expect to hear your comments later. If not, I'll go find you. No, I'm kidding. Not really. I will find you. So which portions of the Land Development Code or development process do you engage with most often? If anybody engages with GIS, property research, site plans, accessory structures, single-family home permits. I know we have a few industry folks in here as well. All right, land use, yep. Land use is applicable. And let's see, permitting form, submittal checklist. It does sound like we've, the past 2 days, just for this audience, if you've seen the session yesterday, it is on YouTube, I believe. But yesterday's session, a lot of the responses were geared towards, how we can reduce forms. It sounds pretty in line with today's session, reducing the amount of forms for submissions. So that's something we're really taking into account. What areas of the code or development process are unclear, difficult to interpret, or overly burdensome? Okay, we have a lengthy response, and I know the TV is a little small, so I'll just kind of read it so that way the folks in the crowd can get to know what these are. Rural property use rules need more flexibility and clarity. Permit timelines and approval steps can be difficult to track. Yes. Companies allowed to conduct explosive and gun range operations. Setbacks, accessory structures, and lot splits. All right. Which parts of the current land development code or development process do you feel are working well? If you like anything and really, really, really want to keep it, please tell us. If you don't, we have another slide with additional comments for you to provide on what you don't think is working well. Have you experienced delays, confusion, or challenges due to unclear or outdated requirements? Yes. Permit review times, yep. Any additional comments? You guys wanna, no? Okay, all right. And we have around 2 more. So if yes, what types of delays or challenges have you experienced? Right now, the responses show 22% unclear application requirements, 11% difficulty understanding code language, 11% missing or inconsistent submittal expectations, 11% revisions requested after submittal, 22% conflicting interpretations or guidance, and 22% for long review timelines. All right, before today's session, how familiar are you with the following topics? I know we have kind of jumped around a little bit more today than anticipated, but this is something we will be doing an additional survey at the end of the session to gauge if you actually learned anything or learned your development services department. This is really important that you guys get to know Stephen, your director of development services, who's actually getting boots on the ground. He is doing what he can to get to know you guys. He is here to shake your hands and get to know you, those of you that came in person. If you're online, you can shoot over an email, set up an appointment. He wants to get to know you. And I believe that's, obviously his personal goals, but BOCC, they want you to get to know him too. So that's why we've arranged these meetings to help bridge gaps that might have been there previously. So, let's see, before today's session, how familiar are you with the following topics? So again, today we're trying to cover single-family homes. We are passing around a single-family home guideline, and we will be posting this information online in the next few weeks. We'll make sure it's posted on Facebook. We'll make sure it's posted, Ron, PIO, he's just on it. He's always on there, and I know you guys comment on there too, so feel free to give us your comments on it. And Kelly Schultz, Deputy Director of Development Services, she's really taken this head on with Stephen. So between the two, focusing on standardized operating procedures, obviously we did start with Don East Way's department over with the BPR review process, but this is ways for you guys to get to know these folks in person. So they are trying to take as much time as they can this next week and a half to get out in the community to see you guys. So please take advantage of it, especially those online. So what I'll do, this was our last question for our survey, and I know we've been having quite a bit of participation throughout today's session, so we might have a little bit of a shorter time period at the end for questions, but what we're going to do is I'm going to hand the mic to Don East Way to do a deeper dive on the actual requirements. So what are the requirements? Why do we need them? If you don't like them, tell us. We would love to hear it. So far, this has been a really engaging group. So we appreciate it. I'll go ahead and share my screen again, and I'll pass it to Don East.
Good morning. Like I said before, this is a process for us to go through and evaluate what we've been doing, what we need to do. That's why it's very important. We're thankful that our county commissioners have supported us with our partners with AI, SwiftGov, to make these changes happen. And it's making it better for us as the residents. So this is very important, and thank you. So when someone comes in and they want to submit for a planning review of their building permit, we have certain documents, as Kelly went over before, that are required. So you would bring those documents, your deed, your site plans, all of those, bring them in, meet with our portal assistant if you need to, or go online in the middle of the night if you want to submit online. The building permit application is always required. You have a compliance affidavit that is always required, and then other documents throughout that process. We have a site plan that has to show everything that's on the lot, your driveway, the placement of your building, any setbacks, any wetlands or flood zones. We need those shown on there. Elevations of the building so that we can look at the height to make sure that it is in compliance with what is allowed in that district. Floor plan of the house so that we can go through and review how many bedrooms do you have. In the north end, we don't have too many of the houses that have 5 bedrooms or more, but we do in the south end, and we have to look at all that. Roof plan, so we have to look at height of the structure. So when we have a site plan and or drawings that have your roof plan on there, do you have one ridge line or do you have multiple roof lines? That helps us in gauging how high that structure is to make sure it doesn't go over the 40 feet or 50 feet height. Foundation plan is important to us because we use that for a number of things. One, to see if you're doing slab on grade, if you're doing a backfilled stem wall, if you're building on pilings or piers, if you're doing a tie down for a mobile home or a modular structure, how that is actually the foundation system is going to work. And that plays into what we look at for flood zones. So if you are in a flood zone, you have to have an engineered foundation system. And it also applies to anyone who is providing stormwater on their lots. We don't have too much in the north end that requires stormwater. We do have some subdivisions that are in master stormwater plan. But if you get further in the south end, you have to have an on-site stormwater plan if you're not in a master plan subdivision. Or you follow the exceptions, and we use that foundation plan for that. And most of the other issues, let me back up. Wetlands and environmental issues, we have that a lot in the north end. We have a collection of wetland areas, and we have a lot of flood zone areas around the rivers. So we have to look at that for any structures and make sure they're set back appropriately and they're constructed appropriately. So on the site plans, we like to have a good one. We have many that aren't, and we have many that are hand-drawn. And we take that into account. We understand. If you're a homeowner coming in and you don't have the ability to pay someone to draw a site plan for you, we'll take that hand-drawn site plan. But we like to have a graphic scale on there, the legal description on there, the north arrow, street names, so that we can identify just by looking at that plan where it's at and then what we're doing with it. We look at the property zoning. So many times we have properties that are in general agriculture or large-scale agriculture. We have to make sure that you meet density. We do have the ability to permit a house or an ADU or a second primary house on larger parcels of land. That's what our role is. And we normally will take 2 persons in each area. So I have 2 dedicated just to the north end that will review those projects that come in. And they become basically an expert in the north end area so that there's not any unnecessary delays. That someone's having to learn the process again. So I do that with all of the areas for reviews. We also look at a lot of record. That's been a major issue here lately. Most of the time, folks will go in and cut a piece of property off of their property. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you'll check with us in the planning department first, because it could be a showstopper when it comes to permitting, there is a process that we go through to make sure that it either meets density for the zoning category or if it's a family lot split. So we want to make sure it's a legal lot for you. So that's why we say, check with us. We're going to check it whenever the building permit comes in. Another item, not too much in the north end, but ISR is impervious surface ratio, and that plays in with the stormwater that we look at. So when we're looking at the building detail plans, we're looking at the finished floor. That's also supposed to be on the site plan, but we look at it to make sure that if you're in a flood zone, that you meet what that flood zone requires, or that you're going to meet that 1 foot above the crown of the road. Then we have the exception form that says if you don't meet, if you're more than 150 feet, 300 feet away, positive drainage away from the house, then you don't have to meet that 1 foot above the crown of the road. Because sometimes the crown of the road is here, your house is going to be built way back here, and really there's no reason why you should meet that 1 foot above the crown of the road. But that requirement is for most folks who are going to build right up at the 20-foot setback line on the front, so that water from that roadway doesn't come right into your house or your garage. So that's why we have the finished floor elevations on there. Again, talked about the building height, talked about flood zones. So we, as the county, have adopted language that gives a minimum floor elevation for your house. So we have the FEMA guidelines that said this is the base flood line, and then we have the county guidelines that says a design flood line, which is a 1 foot freeboard is what we call it. So the finished floor of the house would have to be 1 foot above. So we look at the flood zones, how that house is constructed. There's elevation certificates that have to be submitted from your surveyor in that review process for us to check that. Roof overhangs. So in the south end, we have a lot of preservation zones, buffers, conservation zones, that we look at the roof overhangs. Common is 18 inches. That's what the code allows for you to overhang. Unless you're in a preservation area, then nothing is allowed to overhang in that area. We have a lot of communities in the south end. They are built in the scrub oaks and the natural vegetation, and there's been recorded with that subdivision that we don't want to impact that. So that's why we have a roof overhang, because we'll do from the vertical wall, from that edge. Setbacks are very important. We're looking at ideas, and if you have any, send them to us, that all structures meet the same setbacks. You have a 20-foot front, 7.5 side, 15 rear. We have some communities that have a lesser, they may have a 5-foot setback. They may have 10 foot between structures to call it a PUD or a zero lot line. So we look at all of those. We're looking at what an accessory structure is, you know, a shed, a pool. Is that going to have to meet that primary setback or not? We want your comments on that. Parking spaces. We do 1 per 900 square foot per parking space. So if you come in with 3 bedrooms, you're probably going to do 2 to 3 parking spaces. When you get teenagers, you're probably going to have a lot more. But we look at that parking allowance for that house. When you get to the smaller lots, then it gets kind of tricky to get them parking spaces and the house all on the same lot, and your stormwater and your landscape buffers, all of that. So that's what we look at. I also call it the Tokyo drift. When someone is drawing out their site plan and they show how they're parking, oh, I've got 4 spaces. Well, those 4 spaces are 2 straight in and 2 immediately on the right. And I said, no, you can't do a Tokyo drift to get to that parking space. You're going to have to show, put a grandmother in a car, put a teenager in a car, and show me how they're going to get maneuvered into that parking space. So we just don't take it that they have the concrete. We actually look at how it's driven in there. They always laugh at me about the Tokyo drift. I'm like, no, we're not rolling in sideways. Environmental and overlay zones. So these are your wildlife lighting zones, your wetland zones, your flood zones. We also have scenic corridor. We're very proud of that scenic corridor. It's nationally known now, and we like to protect that. So any residential building, we have that landscape buffer that's required on the front. We look at that. We look at that in relation to the parking, everything else that's going on. Your Gulf front lots, we have a construction control line, and the coastal protection zone. So the sea dunes that are out there, we have a consistency letter that they have to review. get reviewed for to make sure that they're not digging into those dunes and building and disrupting that. We also have the military influence zone, and that's what our gentleman talked about earlier. You know, what is the proximity to those military establishments? What is the lighting that's going to interfere with those missions? So that's already written into our land development code, and we need that feedback to make sure that those are fixed. Some of the most common things that slows down a review is an incomplete application. If we don't have everything we need or the fees aren't paid, it kind of sits stale till we can get to you and tell you exactly what you need to get back in the system. Stormwater. Stormwater is the number one ticket that is a problem with what we're doing. And it's tricky for those that don't have a master stormwater plan and are required to have a stormwater plan, that you have to take into account any buffers or landscaping or anything that you have to put on there. Parking spaces is another one. They're miscounted or they're just totally missed at all. The ISR, so those that are using what we call the 3 BMPs, which is the exception to the stormwater plan, if you don't have the correct ISR calculations, which is your house footprint, your driveway footprint, anything that covers that property, we have to have those ISR calculations. And if they're not correct, then we can't move it forward. Setbacks. A lot of times we'll have folks draw their buildings on the site plan, but they don't tell us how far it is away from the property line or how far it is from the other structure. And we have to have that to be able to move forward. And the legal descriptions. A lot of times we will get, and it goes back to the lot of record issues, we will get a piece of property that's changed dimensions 3 or 4 times, and the deed that they have is not what their site plan shows to us. So we have to clarify that conflict and get that corrected and move forward. Does anybody have any questions about the BPR process? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I think some of the things that affect people with the application process is the language itself. I was in education for over 30 years. We had our own language, and I knew exactly what that meant. But I don't know half of what you talk about because you just use it all the time, and it's just second nature to you, and it's easily described and explained. But when the application process, the form is there, it is very difficult. I have found myself, when I had to help with a situation, had to look up what that meant. So I think if we can find ways to make it just more easily understood for the common man, that would be very helpful. I have seen online when I've looked up various things, this thing will be highlighted and then you can hover over it and then it blows up the explanation. Maybe online, something like that. But, for just the forms, when you get the packet, just the terminology is excruciatingly painful to navigate.
Yeah, that's something that we're looking at with our forms that we're going to put online and the checklist for the BPRs with the standard operating procedure, that we can probably incorporate that hover over it to either link to it or give you a link to the glossary. Yeah. Well, I would suggest, and anyone that's listening out in the internet world, that come in and talk to us. We have a planner of the day. Someone is on staff to help with questions.
And you can just walk in and talk.
You can walk in and talk to that person.
Okay.
In the planning department in the Freeport Commons office. And they're open from 8 to 4 for walk-in customers. You can also use the planning email, planning@mywaltonfl.gov, and send that comment that goes to the same planner of the day. And then we will, if she doesn't know the answer, she finds one of us that does. So we're giving you the correct information.
Perfect.
Nobody else? Thank you.
All right, and with that, our final survey of the day. Yes, because this group is super enthusiastic about QR codes and surveys. All right. This is our final one, I promise. And, this will help us understand what we can do better moving forward, making sure that we are giving appropriate support. But I know some of you are speeding and grabbing those phones, but actually right before the survey, we're going to show you a quick map demonstration because this is a tool that you guys have access to as citizens in Walton County. Anybody can get access to this by going to the planning department website. So if you Google search planning at Walton County and GIS, this will be one of the first links that populates. So for this, this is a GIS, Geographic Information Systems, a pretty cool map. This is a service provided by Esri, which is a cool mapping user experience for people to find more information about properties and to look up your zoning districts. So one thing we'll do is we'll start with the zooming in. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a plus and a minus button. You can do the plus button to zoom in or the minus button to zoom out. If you have a trackpad, you can open a paper bag, so use those 2 fingers to zoom in, or you can close a bag of chips and close those fingers in together. So what we'll do is we're just going to zoom in. We are in Defuniak today, so I'll just zoom in and we'll check out the lake because the lake is beautiful. Lake Defuniak, District 2. So as we're zooming in, I'm going to go ahead and press my plus button, and you'll see it's zooming into the lake. So now that we're zoomed into the lake, you can see there's some funky hashes. The hashes are the lines that are coming in at a diagonal. So we need to discover or identify why these lines are showing up. It seems like there's a lot going on here. This is satellite imagery available to the public. It is provided by Esri. So what we'll do is we're going to change our base map. So the base map has 4 squares at the top right corner. We'll click the base map and we'll go ahead, just because when you're trying to show a map, sometimes you normally have a certain, either you want to show a neighboring property or you're trying to show what's going on your property. So we want to display the map appropriately for what we're trying to discuss, either with the planning department, our BOCC or administration, or even family or friends. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click the colored pencil map at the top right. You guys have the opportunity and option to select any of these different base maps. I love the colored pencil one just because it's a little interactive, especially if you're doing community events. There's also a community map. The community map, you'll see that the base map is now changing. So it's turning different colors. If there's a dark gray canvas, not that you would want to show something super dark and aggressive, but if you did, this is a dark gray canvas. Or you could also use, one of my favorites is the blueprint map. So the blueprint map, it looks exactly like a blueprint, and it's kind of cool and pretty. So that is an option that you guys have. And what we'll do for today's purposes, we'll go back to the imagery, which is the satellite imagery map. To the right of the base map gallery, you will see the legend. The legend has 3 lines. And in Esri or ArcGIS, Geographic Information Systems, there are 3 different attributes that you'll see often on a map. You'll see points, you'll see lines, or you'll see polygons. The polygons will be shapes or objects that are drawn on the map to show you a specific item. So right here, you'll actually see what that means. So what each symbol is for that defined term. So right here, these are address points. So the addresses have points that are associated with each address. You can search an address here in the search bar at the top left, and you can also select, let's say we wanted to select the town of Defuniak Springs. We wanted to go ahead and select that spring. As soon as we select it, you'll see a pop-up. The pop-up will then show you what is going on that specific parcel. The parcel is going to be that property boundary. So we selected the parcel, and it seems like this is a freshwater pond. So if you click the right arrow, you'll see it says 1 of 5. 1 of 5 meaning that there's additional pop-ups and additional information to look at within the pop-ups after I selected this parcel. So what we're going to do is click to the right, and it's going to show it's in the municipality of Defuniak Springs. So we're going to continue clicking to the right. Within the pop-up, it shows you special flood hazard area A. So that means it's in a flood zone A. And we'll keep going to the right. And let's see, this is within a subdivision boundary, town of Defuniak Springs. And it shows you the parcel boundary of the spring, which is pretty interesting. So in order to see what's actually populating, like how does this pop-up occur, where is this information coming from? The county hosts this information because it's publicly available either through state agencies or national agencies, and we just want you guys to have the most resources possible. And right here in the legend, you'll see that there's, this is identifying what is currently shown on your map. So anywhere on your map, all of these different features are shown. If we click to the right of the legend, you'll see the layering list. The layering list is going to show everything in the order of it populating. So that means the address points, these are going to be at the top because they're at the top of the layer list. So you're going to see those above anything else. That's why we see these green triangles right here that are popping up first because they're at the top of the layer list. If we click the drop down to the left-hand side of the address points, you'll be able to see what each address point means. So is this an active address or is it address control? So with that, what we'll do is we're just going to go ahead and turn on some of these layers so that way you guys can see how to turn them on. Because technically you can turn them on or off by clicking the check mark box, and that will turn off the layer. So there are layers such as streets. The streets will show you if it's a county road or a local road, if it's a state road, U.S. highway, or interstate. So if you clicked on a road, let's hypothetically click Baldwin Ave. If I click that, Baldwin Ave, all right, it says 1 of 3. So I'm going to click to the right, and we're going to see what else is in here. So for Baldwin Ave, it says it's maintained by Defuniak Springs. So that way you guys can know who the road is maintained by, which is pretty helpful. And your guys' GIS team, they have spent a lot of time putting this map together. You can see different planning areas, planning overlays. For this district in particular, what we'll do is turn on the zoning district so you guys can see how to find your zoning district. So as soon as I click zoning, you'll see the map color change. This is gray because I believe we're in Defuniak. So because we're in Defuniak and it's not incorporated within the county, what we'll do, we're just going to zoom out, and now you see these big heavy color blocks. So for the color blocks, we'll just do the drop down first. This will show you what each color means. But obviously when you're selecting a parcel, if you, let's say you search an address, you're searching an address, you're able to find out your associated zoning district. But for today's purposes, I'll just click this color block so you guys can see general agriculture. This is the zoning class for that parcel. And let's see, what we'll do is I'm going to deselect zoning. So as soon as I click that check mark, it will go away. And now you guys know how to hopefully find your zoning district. So that's pretty cool because then you can go to the land development code, find out more information about it. There are additional layers on here. I've actually not seen a county provide individual zoning regulations for different areas that are unincorporated. But it's really cool. Defuniak Springs, you guys do have that. You have Freeport, you have Paxton. I actually haven't seen another county, so shout out to the GIS team here. They've spent some time trying to make this right for you guys. So that's awesome that you have those resources, and I hope you use them. If you are trying to understand more about your scenic corridors or exposure zones, you just click to turn those on. Those are a bit more applicable for South Walton. So again, we'll kind of skip over that for today. As for the soils map, this one's kind of interesting, especially, I know we have some farming folks here. I love everything to do with plants. My friends call me the tree hugger. But anything to do with plants, if I zoom in, you'll see that there's some weird colors showing up everywhere. What these colors mean, if we either do the drop down, to the left of soils, you'll see different types of soils and their colors and the association of which is which. And let's say we wanted to click on this one, and see what the soil type was. So as soon as I do that, you can see what the soil type is. That is based on the U.S. geographic services that we're able to get access to. And also the University of Florida, IFAS, posts different soil types every year, just like based on an analysis of the geography of the land. So that's pretty cool because obviously when selecting plantings for different areas, this isn't, this is a, as a mapping disclaimer, this is a tool, not your final answer. We have some experts in the county that know their soil is better than a map, and we will lean on those people to make sure that it is appropriate plantings, but also it's a good tool for people who are trying to do a bit more research and, hey, is my plant going to be able to survive here? So this will show you the different soil types. That one's one of my favorites. You can then use the Florida-friendly landscaping guidelines provided by UF-IFAS, and they will go through what types of plantings are appropriate per soil type. Again, these are just, suggestions, and it is up to the team here to find the right one for their place. It's always the right place and space for a plant, especially to grow with appropriate shading conditions, but it's something that you guys do have access to. So with that, I hope this was helpful understanding a little bit more about resources that are currently on Walton County's website. We'll go back to a last-minute survey. This is the one you guys were waiting for. You're waiting for it. Yes.
Can you show them how to search an address?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Commissioner Glidewell's address.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, we're gonna search an address real quick, and we're gonna find Commissioner Glidewell's address. So his office address is 444. This is for all of you that want to go visit him. We're going to pull it up, and we do suggest if you tried to visit, please reach out to Miss Teresa Lowry. She's great at scheduling appointments. But this is his office address. I'm going to go ahead. You can see that you can't really see too much of the parcel, and that's because our soils layer is still on. So if we were really looking at soils for Commissioner Glidewell's district, we would know how to find it. All right, so this is the parcel, and you'll notice it took a second to load. It does take a second sometimes, but if we select the parcel, you can see additional information of that parcel. So you saw all I did was search, and then I clicked that specific property. As soon as I clicked it, I was able to see more information. So let's say we wanted to turn on a topography layer. You'll see that there's a contour that just popped up. That contour will show you let's see more information on this one. You'll see it's now 1 of 3 attributes that populated. So we're just gonna click to the right. It seems like it's in flood zone X, and it has a 260 contour feet elevation. Oh, that's interesting. You can really get some steps out there. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I hope that was, let's actually turn on another layer. Yes, we'll turn on one more. Planning overlay. Let's see. What's another one that might be applicable? All right, so what I did was I just clicked a risk category for wind-borne debris areas. So I clicked that so that way I could see if any was applicable to this specific district. If I click the parcel, you'll see it says 1 of 3, and it's risk category 4. So that way, the Florida Building Code, and this is another thing we'll have to keep in mind when making changes to the Land Development Code in particular. There are certain state guidelines that we do as a county have to follow, and we'll do our best to start looking into the ones that might be a bit more particular to Walton County, and because at the end of the day, we do have to follow state statute and state guidelines. There are certain things that are in place currently, such as SB 180, which does prohibit certain restrictions on changes in the Land Development Code for some of the language in there. So we might not be able to make some changes, but some we can do. And those are the ones that we're going to focus on so we can make change happen now versus waiting 10 years, which sometimes happens with land development codes. We want to now. So in order to do that, we have to continue doing these sessions and surveys. So your last survey of the day. And while we're doing this, I'll just leave this on the screen for you all to participate. We just want to know what we can do better at our next sessions. We do have a lot of sessions until next Wednesday. So if we can continue to make them better throughout our time with getting to know residents more, that would be greatly appreciated. So after today's session, we would like to know if you did learn anything about the Land Development Code or, how the code applies to single-family homes. Did you learn anything about GIS or the overall process? So if anyone would like to participate, that would be great. And I'll kind of pause here for additional questions. If there's any additional questions or comments, we would love to hear from you guys. All right.
Did a good job. No questions.
Yeah, awesome job, guys. Well, thank you for hanging in with us. We're just going to go through this last survey together, and after today's session, did you learn anything? Seems like this person did. I don't know if you guys did because your phones aren't out, but it's fine. I get it. This is your third survey. So let's see. How familiar are you with the following topics? Did you learn anything? Seems like we have 3 participants right now and one that's full pedal to the metal ahead. So how much did today's session improve your understanding? Improve somewhat. And I believe there is an open-ended question at the end that does ask, what could we have focused a bit more on? So let's see, after today's session, how confident do you feel finding information or assistance related to the single-family home development in Walton County? All right. Which topics from today's session were most helpful to you? Those of you online or joining virtually, feel free to participate as well. All right. It seems like this person's really voting for everything. That's great. Let's see. What's one thing you learned today that will help you in the future? So this is an open-ended question. If you think something will be helpful in the future, awesome. If not, you can even tell us that too. We won't be offended. We need to get better. In order to get better, we need more input and comments from you guys. So I'll continue to the next question. What was one topic that's still unclear or you would like more information about? Is it take-home packets? Is it, tangible paper document? What can we do to continue to give you guys information? After today's session, do you feel better prepared to use Walton County's resources related to land development, land use, or single-family homes? We have 3 questions left, and then everybody's ready to go to lunch. Go to lunch. It's good. All right. How would you rate today's session overall? So far, no one's voted, so we'll move on to the next one. Wait, we have some in-person votes? Like, okay. We'll give it an okay. Okay, we got a good. We got 2 goods. That's awesome. All right. Do you have any suggestions for improving future sessions? If you do, please let us know. And I believe this is our last one, so I'll just leave it here for now, and thank you guys for coming. I'll pass the mic over to Commissioner Glidewell for last thoughts, and please stick around if you want to talk to any of us individually. I know Commissioner Glidewell is going to be here. We also have Mike, your deputy admin. We hope you guys get to spend some time with all of us, so we'll be here until the last person leaves. Thank you, guys.
Use this one. We're good. Thank y'all again for coming, and we hope that this was informative, and we hope that the staff gets some feedback on what y'all want, because that's what we want to do. I agree that a lot of this is, I'm not a big fan of government overreach, so there is a lot of that we have to fight every day, and we need your help. And the best way you can help us is tell us what you want. So thank y'all for coming, and we'll be back tonight at 5:30. invite your friends and enemies. Thank y'all.